Hi, I'm back. Now, a couple of days ago, Richard Fowler and Kevin Jackson had a little racial spat on Fox News. If you look down in the little title box, I left the link so you can see the train wreck for yourself. Everything I do is strategic, and I'm always honest about my intentions. So today we're going to play a little Frederick Douglass. Douglass didn't waste his time trying to convince Confederates that slavery was bad. His intention was to shake the conscience of those who didn't like the practice but didn't feel the immediate urge to stop it. Are my intentions clear? Tactically, Douglass said what you need is scorching irony and not convincing argument. Since I have no idea about Kevin Jackson's purpose, I'm going to tackle 3 comments from Fowler since I see him very clearly. You got my intentions, you got my tactic and my target. Let's go.
His anger speaks to decades and decades of police departments and police department policies and practices that have led to the unjust killings of thousands of African Americans. This goes beyond just what's happening in the 2000s. Think about Rodney King. Think about Sean Bell, who was shot 42 times at his bachelor party by police departments. This is a real problem in this country that we have got to address, and it's not going to change overnight.
Yes. It is anger at decades and decades of something. That something is called big government. The police only have the power given to them by their legislature and defended by their executor. So if you want to talk about Sean Bell in progressive New York City where selling a cigarette could get you killed, or Rodney King in progressive Los Angeles that took the 3-strike rule to a whole nother level, I would love to talk about the decades of progressive politicians that made sweet deals with the civic unions that include the police department, those concessions the progressive politician gave to those unions while they passed more and more laws limiting your freedom. The anger is real, but it is oh so misguided, pointed towards the progressives that built your trap. That is, if your intention is to actually destroy the trap. Do you want the laws removed or just the police?
Is part of the problem. We have a prison industrial complex where we saw in the late 70s under Richard Nixon in the failed war on drugs, we put more black brothers, more black sons, more black fathers in jail than any other group of individuals for nothing. For nothing.
It's so cute when progressives try to rewrite history. In 1968, Nixon said the answer to the war on dope, because before it became the war on drugs, it was being called the war on dope by the black clergy, the black representatives, and the black citizens in Harlem, where the heroin epidemic, to quote Shirley Chisholm, was comparable to the bubonic plague. Nixon said the answer was education and compassion, as you were talking about 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. It took 3 years of prodding by Shirley Chisholm and Charlie Rangel and their newly formed Congressional Black Caucus for Nixon to declare the war on drugs as an immediate threat. So, if the prison industrial complex was at the hands of Nixon, he was only answering the call of the black progressives. You could thank your CBC for that. And I would love it if your very next talking point proves every single thing that I just said.
Additionally, on this air, multiple times, I have talked about the problems in Chicago and the proliferation of illegal guns in the city of Chicago. The police chief in Chicago, excuse me, can I finish? The police chief in Chicago, as well as the incoming attorney general into the city of Chicago, has said over and over again, we need to start prosecuting straw purchasers. The reason why she can't do it is because of policies and practices out of Springfield.
You gotta get See? I knew that I could count on you. How many black men will be locked up under your new gun laws? I could have sworn you just told me that the prison industrial complex was locking up black men. How can your answer to the problem possibly be to create new laws to lock up more black men for something that should be a constitutional right? Unless, of course, you think the monkeys will stop killing themselves if you just take away the gun. Because basically, that's what I'm hearing you say. But even worse, just to bring this back together, why do police think that a black man with a gun is a problem? Because one party makes anyone with a gun look like a problem. One party believes in gun-free zones, and they want to turn your city into a gun-free zone. So anyone with a gun in that zone, you starting to get the picture? And those new laws to lock up black folk for executing a constitutional right with no crime committed will be brought to you by Richard Fowler and his Democratic Party. So don't be mad at the police when they follow Richard's call for more laws that just need a little bit more enforcement. See, progressives pushed for your drug laws. Yeah, Rockefeller was a Republican, but he was also a progressive in progressive New York City. Now progressives are pushing for more gun laws, coming from the woman that says blacks are super predators that needed to be brought to heel. And they are simultaneously using black death at the hands of law enforcement simply because they had a gun and law enforcement thought they needed to be brought to heel as evidence of your oppression. It cannot be called oppression if you champion it and you vote for it. So let me answer a hip-hop question real fast. Why were the feds so interested in tracking down T.I. at the BET Awards? Because progressive Democrats brought your gun laws to a federal level just to make sure they brought you to heel. Now that's some irony for your ass.